Hey, welcome to Blue Jay Banner on the eve of a huge matchup with Uconn. Tim Kruger along with Ross Ferry. Ross, I feel like I haven't seen you in a year.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
How's life going for you?
It's all good. I'm just, watching ball and per usual this time of year, kind of the dog days. Obviously living in Omaha, not much going on here in the winter, so we're locked into ball and watching a lot of low major, mid major games, a lot of NBA. So it's
Well, before we get into what we normally talk about, how about those Omaha Mavericks?
you know what, I actually went to the game on Thursday night and I love going to games at Baxter. My brother played there for a couple of years, so it's just the crowds have gotten a little bit better, obviously, as they've been better this year. But it's
Sure.
just a great place to watch a game. If you're listening, you've never been to a game there, it's a great place to watch a game. It's just like a perfect arena for hoops and hockey, obviously. So yeah, it'd be fun to see them kind of make a run and maybe make the tournament for sure.
So I was on with Gary Sharp, who obviously is the play voice of Omaha on Friday. I do my bracketology
Yeah.
on Friday, and I was talking to him about Trey Eaglestaff because his great uncle, when I was a kid or early
Oh, the shooter for North
early
Dakota.
adult, yeah, when I was
Yeah.
early, like his great uncle was probably one of the best players ever in North Dakota. Like they played Fort
Okay.
Yates and they were on an Indian reservation, and he was just probably one of the best players I ever saw. I mean, they had this team and they were all from the Indian reservation, and they would just run nonstop for 32 minutes, and nobody could keep up with them. And it was just amazing how well they shot, and they had so many good players. I was telling Gary they had so many good players from there, but like every time one of them like went out, and I think a couple of them got like Division 1 offers. They just
Hmm.
couldn't handle the support staff of the reservation, and they just always came back to the reservation. They just never
Uh,
made it. And I think
yeah.
Robert did play a little bit, and that's the thing about Trey is everybody's wondering like, is he going to transfer somewhere? You
Yeah.
know, and Gary's under the thing that he's kind of tied to his family, so maybe he won't. But at any rate, I digress. But they're having a great season, and back a couple of my brackets, I've had them in the same pod because Creighton was at 8 for a while. I'd have them in the same pod as Creighton, wherever Creighton went. So, wow, how great would that be for the fans of Omaha to be able to see both teams?
Yeah, it'd be
Uh,
fun. Gosh, I mean, we've got a real chance here of all three teams making the tournament for the very first
Great
time. So
chance, great chance, great chance.
we'll see what
I, I
happens.
I hate to I didn't want to say this to Gary, but I just have this kind of like feeling that Omaha's going to get in the Summit League, having not been in that position before, and go out in the first game of the Summit League tournament.
Well,
I hate to say that,
yeah,
but I
it's hard for them. They just they're facing an uphill battle more so even than other low majors in the sense that the tournament that they go to, their conference tournament, is right in the backyard of all the Dakota schools. They're all pretty
yeah
strong programs in their own right. Now, they all might not be as strong this year, but that's usually that tournament's usually very South Dakota State heavy,
yeah
or even South Dakota and even North Dakota State. North Dakota not as much, but they're gonna have to kind of go into the Lions' den again in Sioux Falls in a few weeks.
yeah. It's about equal distance from Fargo and Omaha to Sioux Falls, so yeah, we'll see
Yeah,
this year.
but they've just never. I mean, you know how this is here.
North
I
Dakota
mean,
State travels real well.
yeah, in Omaha, yeah, Omaha just has no
Yeah,
history in Division 1 hoops, really. It
yeah.
just can't imagine a huge contingent of people going up to the Summit League tourney, but we'll see what happens. It'd be fun for them. So I went to the Nebraska basketball game yesterday too. So I got 3 games in 4 days. I had UNO Thursday, Creighton Saturday, and Nebraska Sunday. So I've got a lot
Had
of
a
hoops to
boy,
see.
had
Yeah,
a boy, big win for the Huskers over Ohio State.
yeah, it
Um,
was.
yeah, like you and I have talked a million times, the Summit League teams, boy, and it's already started. Better get them now, or St. Thomas is going to take over.
Yep,
They get that new arena, it's going to be crazy.
yep, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Hey, one thing our sponsors, Infusion Brewing Company. We'll talk more about an event we got coming up at Infusion here in a little bit, and also West Pacific Dental Group and Dr. Robert Hogan. We're also sponsored in part by Care Miners Home Health Care and Discount Windows and Doors of Omaha. Well, it's been forever since I talked to you, and probably the last time we did a show together, man, we were just coming out of a bad stretch and won a game or two. But who would have thunk, back December 1 that we'd be in the position we are now?
Yeah, no, I was talking to a couple of people, after the game on on Saturday, and it was we were basically just like I think I said it like if you would have told me a month ago that this team's got a chance to win the league, I would have told you you're crazy. Just because it just didn't seem like for whatever reason, just still weren't probably quite comfortable offensively yet to me. But gosh, things have really gelled, and I mean, this is obviously everybody sees kind of the tweets about this being one of Coach Mac's best coaching jobs, and I totally agree. It's just it feels so nice to be really comfortable with knowing that you've got one of the best coaches in the entire game on your sideline, and he's gonna work with what he has. And he's I mean, gosh, just some of the player development has been really impressive this year, in my opinion. I mean, it's all these guys, have had strengths through their game, but had some weaknesses as well, and guys just in new roles and new positions that they hadn't really played before, and things are starting to gel and look a lot more fluid offensively, and especially now that Fedor is in the mix, and Fedor looks a hell of a lot more comfortable now that he's gotten some minutes under his belt. I can't even, Tim, you know this, I've been on the Jemiah train from basically day one. But gosh, Jemiah looks really, really good now, and it's just fun to have another guy outside of Steven that can create offense.
Yeah, our post game on Saturday, we had Mason Miller as a guest. And I said to Mason, I go, yeah, and then Jemiah, just sits on the bench for 10, 15 minutes, and then just comes off and takes a contested three with the game on the line, like no big deal, and just drains it. And you knew he's going to make that shot, right? I mean, that's what he does. I mean, that's what he does.
He looks so much more comfortable shooting the ball from beyond the arc now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing what some confidence will do, and his shot just looks a lot more smooth. Like the whole rhythm of his shot just looks a lot more smooth and compact. And yeah, he's playing great. And obviously Steven and Kalk have just been incredible. I mean, we play such a fun slash funny way of style of play offensively, just but watching those two run around each other in that two-man game. I mean, it's got to be absolutely exhausting to guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steven's like kind of, I mean, I give Steven a lot of credit. I mean, I don't know that there's many guys they're probably in as good a shape as he is. I mean, because he just the way he moves off the ball and the way he runs around screens, and it's impressive to watch him operate.
Yeah. Well, to your point, I think Shaka called him the Energizer Bunny, said he was the best player on the floor. And then Saturday night, I'm up watching something, and a commercial comes on I hadn't seen, and he does a commercial. I'm sure it's an NIL thing for the cryo whatever. There's a place in town, and they showed all
Sure.
the different things he does, and I'm sure a lot of that really helps his lung capacity and
Yeah.
recovery. I mean, it's got to be just really helpful to him. But
Yeah. No doubt.
yeah, crazy what they do. And you got frustrated a few games ago with the turnovers, but like Austin was telling me, as a former point guard, he's like, look, I can say honestly, had and some of the sometimes he was missing some shots too. He had one game where he had kind of a not Steven like effort from 3 point land. And Austin was saying, hey, I can tell, Mac tries to ride his point guards pretty hard when we get into conference play and not make a lot of substitutions. And he goes, I can tell you, if I would have had 2 more minutes of rest in some of the games, or maybe three, I'd have been so much more fresh. And so he goes, so when he
Right.
misses those shots or maybe turns one over, that's to me, that's just basically that. You're going to have to live with that because you're going to have them on the floor all the time.
Totally. Totally. And I've heard various people, fans. At the end of the day, fans just like to complain. They complain about
Yeah.
every, Auburn's been the most dominant team in the country and lost at home the other day. I'm sure they've got a lot of fans complaining, and they've lost two games all year. So that's just kind of, I get that that's just the nature of it. But I've heard, a lot of fans complain about Steven's turnovers. It's like you got to understand something. His usage rate is out of this world. I mean, he's got to have one of the highest usage rates of any player in the country. And
Yeah.
he's playing 37, 38 minutes a game, and we play fast. And there are times I think Steven probably tries to do a little too much, but it's not egregious by any stretch of the imagination. He's just trying to make plays. So like, yeah, there's gonna be some turnovers in it. You just have to live with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm okay with the ones where he's making the long pass to call. I mean, I equate it to an NFL quarterback who's just taking shots, man. And hey,
Yeah.
might turn it over a couple times, but man, there's a couple other times he's going to hit that home run. And Steven, same way. The ones bother me are just they just seem like he dribbles it off his foot or just loses it. I mean, he has in the
He
last
gets
couple of games he has cleaned those up, which has been
Yeah,
huge.
he can get sped up a little bit sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I think one of the best aspects of his game is his ability to look up the floor and transition. I mean, the amount of buckets that we get just because of his passing, in transition and looking up the floor is impressive. And especially he and Jemiah's been really good at getting out and running and catching his passes in stride and making things happen in transition. So it's I know that's a big focus of teams is transition defense against us to try and take some of that stuff away. It doesn't seem like we're getting near as many easy buckets with him kicking up to Jemiah as much anymore, but we still seem to get quite a few from Kalk. I mean, we haven't even really talked about how Kalk, he's been fantastic. I think this whole run. I mean, his conditioning looks great. I mean, obviously he's had times in the past where he gets real winded after a few minutes out there, and I think he just
He was
works a lot.
six Saturday. He was six
Yeah,
Saturday and
he
still
was
put up
sick.
that effort. Yeah,
Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so he's been great. I'm kind of thrilled with where the team's at, and then obviously two massive games this week, and
yeah.
and
So
and we'll
we
see
we
what
going
goes.
into this 3 game stretch. I want to hear what you think about this. I said before we started them, I said, look, as fans of Creighton, you got to understand the odds of us winning all three are not great. Not that we can't do it, but let's not jump off a cliff if we lose one of these because look what Marquette just did. The Marquette had an easier part of the schedule all the way through the first part. Now they had to play the big three in a row, and they lost all three of them. One of those at home.
Yeah.
Uconn's in the same boat. St. John's is in the same boat. So, St. John's, I keep telling everybody, they kind of, well, now St. John's, yeah, they got to go to Villanova Wednesday. That's not going to be easy for them.
No, no, not at all. And UConn, they've got Liam McNeely back. He
Yeah,
adds
that's
obviously
huge.
another dimension for them. I mean, this is a team that St. John's is one of the best defensive teams in the country, and this is a UConn team that they jumped out to like a 26 or 28-12 lead Friday night against St. John's, and then obviously St. John's crawled back and got a whole bunch of stops and ended up winning that game. But UConn looks a little bit different with McNeely back in the fold
Yeah,
here. This is a UConn team whose backs are pretty against the wall here if they want to compete for, still being in the
yeah,
the thick of
absolutely.
things for the race for the Big East race, and then obviously getting a decent seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, we didn't play McNeely against him the last time. So this
Correct. Yep.
this is a big scouting, report game for us to figure out ways in which we can slow him down. And nobody better than Mac, right?
Yep.
Um, I want to just quickly get a sponsor to Infusion Brewing Company. We'll talk a little bit about our event in a little bit, but check out all they have to offer at infusionbrewing.com. The many craft beers and lagers, including, of course, the Let It Fly lager you can get right at Let It Fly Sports Bar, where we do our post game shows and Jay's games in the arena as well. So check them out today. That's Infusion Brewing Company. Also, just want to mention BlueJayBanner.com. We've had a really good time over there on our message board. It's the one of the most active Creighton message boards around, and obviously a recruiting site. We talked a little bit about a recruit that came in last game for a visit. It's a great time of year to sign up as we head into recruiting and postseason, the portal, and all of that time. We'll have all the news for you. So go to bluejaybanner.com today and sign up. Uh, let's just jump off the men for a minute and talk about the women. They've won 11 of their last 12. Wow.
Yeah,
They
they're
are
killing it.
rolling.
They're
And
killing it.
they have Georgetown on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So they have the whole week off. So a much needed break for Flannery and his crew. And Morgan Malley was named Big East Player of the Week this week. So congratulations to her. I just love the fact that Gino, when he was here, about a week or so ago, just said after they won a tough game, he's just like, I cannot believe this team is not ranked. Like he's like, I mean, that's pretty high compliment coming from him. So,
No doubt.
yeah, look, I hope to keep rolling here, and you'll enjoy this one. So, I was down at a media thing they had at practice one day about a week ago, and Flan was like, they played Providence, and Providence was picked third in the league. They just haven't played very well, and you can tell
Hmm.
during that game they've got some pieces. And they were behind, it's going into the fourth quarter, and you got to talk to Flan about it. So Flan, were you like at all thinking about, oh my God, what is this loss going to do to our net stuff? And he goes, I gotta be honest, it did cross my mind. And then he goes, then I'm like, oh, stop, refocus. But they came back and won, and now again, like I said, they've got Georgetown at Sokol Arena 3 o'clock on Saturday, and the Uconn game's a few weeks down the road yet. Boy, spring sports starting. Softball's already had the opening weekend. They went 3-2. They took three from Fort Wayne, and
That
they
is
lost
crazy.
twice to Coastal Carolina. They only scored one run in 2 games. So
Where in the world would Omaha, where Creighton and Omaha and Fort Wayne have played each other? Where,
I think they went to Coastal Carolina.
oh, it was like a, okay.
Yeah, it was like a round robin thing. And they actually have another one of those coming up this week at Kennesaw State. There's actually 4 teams involved, so they're going to just kind of do a round robin. So they'll get like 5 games in, so they can get a lot of games. Hey, I'm going to Baseball Hilltoppers Wednesday. They head out on the road. They've got UNC Greensboro, first 3 games of the season this weekend. So I'm kind of excited
Yeah,
to
this is
see Ed's
first.
last season and the new coach coming in, the coach in waiting. So it's going to be
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's certainly a unique setup. I'm kind of fascinated to see how this all works out.
yeah. And they've got a lot of guys back. So let's see how this goes. Um, yeah. So I know. I mean, like if we win tomorrow night and St. John's loses, then we'd be tied for the conference lead, and then it would be a humongous matchup in Madison Square Garden on Sunday.
Yep.
Um, Now we have the tiebreaker, so even if we lose the Uconn game, all's not lost because we could go in there, still stay a game, beat them, still be only one behind, but have the tiebreaker. And you got to remember, St. John's has Uconn and Marquette still at the end of the season. So well, actually, yeah. If they would lose, we could still be tied. Even if we lost and they lost, we could still be tied with them after winning Sunday. So a lot of
Hmm.
combinations, a lot of factors. I think for us in moving up the bracket, we'll talk a little bit about that now because we never really talked about it. So I think it'd be huge to get a road win. I mean, that would be a high Q1 road win at St.
Yeah, no
John's.
doubt about it. Yep, we don't really have any of those.
We got a
Well,
few,
we got UConn.
yeah, or yeah. So that's the only one, but yeah, you got to start accumulating a couple of these, and that'd be big. Right now, we're at a net of 32. My bracket, which is going to come out tomorrow. I don't know, I mention this once in a while, but go to bracketville.com. I'm at Bracketville with Dave Ullman, one of the best in the business. And we've been having a great time. Man, Dave's a workaholic, man. He puts out so much content and material. We do a recap after every night's games. He's got a bubble watch going on. He's got the whole building the field where he's got each conference listed and what teams have to do and so forth. So it's incredible. And we also do this year the BB rankings, Bracketville rankings. Thing I kind of devised just a results based metric, like how well have you done with the schedule that you played up to this date? More
Hmm.
wins, obviously, for high Q1 road wins than you're going to get for low Q2 home wins. It's sliding scale type thing. And Creighton's been climbing up that one. That they're all the way up to 15th, tied for 15th this week in that. I have the 6th seed. I have them 23rd overall, and I have them playing Georgia, which I think is a matchup we would like. Dave,
Interesting.
I don't know where Dave's going to have us tomorrow. I would think he'd probably have us in that 6 range as well. Last week he had us a 7 seed. The bracket matrix still has us a 7, but again, a lot of brackets come out tomorrow, so we'll see how that
Yeah.
all
We're just
changes.
not the league's it's no secret to anybody. The league's obviously down.
Yeah,
Um,
and we had that Marquette thing going, and now Marquette is plummeting. So
yeah, and so it's just
yeah,
unfortunately we're kind of a victim of the league just being, I mean, this is gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of a year where the league was kind of as down as it's been. I mean, I think obviously the top four teams here are still formidable foes and going to be tough outs in NCAA tournament, but it drops off pretty significantly.
yeah,
I mean, I'm a little bit surprised on Xavier.
yeah, me
I,
too.
I I thought they'd be like most people that had them ranked a heck of a lot higher in preseason. I thought they'd be better than they have been. Obviously, losing Jerome Hunter has not. Well, no, he's been playing. What am I talking about?
Yeah, he's been playing, but I was talking with a couple guys at practice the other day about that. And,
But he's
he
not.
had
He
the
hasn't
heart
been
deal, then he had the Achilles, and he
right. Yeah, he hasn't been
apparently has
really
just never
100%.
come back because he gets
Yeah.
about 3 minutes a game, 4 minutes a game, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it's an odd deal that Xavier's not better than they have been, and
Well, you saw him when they played here. I thought, my goodness, that
well, I've
team
watched
looks.
them other times. I watched them at UConn. I watched
God, that's a game they gave away too.
yeah, I watched them, at home
They've had a
against
couple of overtime games they could have pulled out.
they
They'd
should
be
have beat
looking much
They could
different.
have beat Marquette at home.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a stretch here. They had three straight games in December right before Christmas. They lost by three at Cincinnati, then they lost in overtime at UConn, and then they lost by two at home to Marquette. Um, that's three straight games. I mean, this is, a team that, then they lost again. They lost at St. John's in overtime. I mean, they've been right there in a number of these. And they beat Wake Forest early in the year. Um, that's Wake Forest is just okay. Just some of these just haven't
They
held
just
up
they're in
well.
this they're yeah, like what a horrible, like how that ended up, because Wake Forest is in the ACC where you hardly get any big game chances because North Carolina stinks
Hmm.
and Pitt stinks now. And they actually climbed into my bracket tomorrow as the last team in, simply because of their accumulation of their wins. And when you look at everybody else in the list, you're like, oh, there's nobody else to put. You gotta have one more team and gotta pick somebody.
Yeah.
It's like a team like UCI. Cal Irvine, has a real
Oh, Irvine.
shot as a mid-major. Same if Drake lost the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, those two teams kind of have a shot. Um, but yeah, what's hurt too is St. John's is 21-3 and getting a lot of love like in the polls. But as far as bracket wise, they're not, because they didn't play anybody in the non-conference. I think they played
Well, yeah, and that
Louisville was their best win, and their
well,
their
they lose.
metrics aren't as good. Had they played the schedule that Marquette, Uconn, and Creighton played, they would be a top 4 seed, a protected seed right now, and they're climbing. They're like up to 5 on most brackets right now. So we'll see how they do here this week. This is a big week for them.
Well, yeah, no. Did you say Louisville?
I think they played Louisville in the non-conference,
They did not.
or am I thinking? Oh, I know. I'm thinking of.
They had a crazy. I watched the end of this game. They had a crazy loss in the Virgin Islands or Bahamas to Baylor. They lost at the buzzer to
Okay,
Baylor
that's who I was thinking of.
in double overtime. Then they beat Virginia there, and then they lost again to Georgia down there.
Georgia. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I knew it was one of those middling power schools that are
they
just
beat
barely
Kansas
hanging
State,
on.
which is actually turning into
Yeah,
not a horrible win. Kansas State has won six in a row in the Big 12, so um,
crazy.
it's yeah, but that not you're right though. I mean, that non-conference is really not. It doesn't, sure as hell doesn't stick out to you by
Well,
any stretch.
especially when you lost to Baylor and to Georgia. I mean, you lost to those teams. Now, had you
Right.
beat one, hey, you know,
They can't shoot. It's a really old school
oh my God.
brand of basketball that they play. I mean, I thought. our game against them on New Year's Eve was one of the more gross basketball games you're gonna find. It just
Yeah,
was not a very aesthetically pleasing basketball game by any stretch of the imagination, and they just that's kind of how they play. But gosh, they are awfully impressive defensively.
I think, and
God,
they've
nothing, boys.
ratcheted up.
I can't hear anything if you hear me.
Oh, we can hear you good, Austin. We can hear you great. You just can't hear us. Oh man, he's repping the Eagles jersey again, Ross.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think they've ratcheted. I was talking with Lou the other day. I think they've ratcheted up their defense the last couple of weeks. I mean, that Uconn game they just played, Uconn could not even get into their offense. That was amazing to me. I mean, that defense was unreal. They
Yeah,
made Marquette look bad, but Marquette turned it over a ton against them,
yeah. I
and so did
think
Uconn for that matter.
unfortunately the league's probably not looking at very many high seeds at this point. I mean, short of St. John's running the table all the way through Big East. I mean, I don't, you know,
Well, Creighton could get to a 4 if we maybe have one more loss the rest of the way. You know,
yeah, maybe, yeah.
St. John's can definitely get to a protected seat if they keep winning. But I I put this scenario in there, Ross. I think St. John's and A&M are very similar teams. It's
Hmm.
just like a football game out there. I mean, they're just in your face defense, not very efficient offensively. And yeah, I would love to see those two teams match up each other in the NCAA tournament. That'd be something.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one.
Yeah. Oz, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear
Hey
me?
man. Hey man, how's it going?
Oh man, just dealing with kids, man, having fun,
Mr.
having
Ferrarini.
fun.
Mr.
Good to be
Ferrarini
here.
joining us.
Yeah, what's up, Roscoe?
Good chat, man. You got the Eagles
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, the boys are
Congrats.
flying, so I had to, piss off some of you
It
Midwesters today. I'm
was a
sorry.
squeaker.
That was a domination, complete domination.
It was, it was. I heard some though about the boys potentially they might. Do you think a three seed's possible, Tim? Do you think that's possible?
For Creighton.
Oh yeah.
4, I think.
All right.
It just depends on like right now, like the teams that are just outside the 4 seed and the 4 seeds are all really like Wisconsin's up to a 3 now. I mean, they're winning and
Right.
playing a lot of high caliber teams. Arizona's winning, okay, in the Big 12. Illinois is starting to accumulate some wins. Texas Tech. I mean, on and on and on. Those teams are really coming. And then you've got teams like Michigan State that maybe have had a bad week out west, but now came back with a win. So it's tough to. And then you got all those SEC teams clumped up
Yeah,
there
but
too.
if they
So
run
it's
the table though, that I guess that's what I'm
oh
saying. They
yeah,
run
they'd
this
have to.
table, they get
My
maybe
scenario for Creighton, the best scenario for them is if you say they're not going to win them all. The best
right.
scenario would be to win this week and maybe lose the road game at Xavier, you know, and then
Okay.
turn around and have a deep run, if not win the Big East tournament. Then
Right.
that would put them in real good stead. But
Okay.
as we know, over the past few years, the committee doesn't pay a lot of attention to the tournament. So,
Right.
um, Russ, just you and I like to talk nationally a little bit. Nationally, who have you seen that? I mean, you mentioned Auburn earlier, and yeah, that's the thing. Auburn could lose probably 2 more games and still be the number one overall seed. That's how far out front they are of everybody. They've
Yeah.
got a resume I've never seen before. It's so dominant. It's unbelievable. But
They
besides
also
them,
have
who?
some of the oldest individuals in
Yeah, they got they've got some cat
in
they've got some
college
cats that have
and
been around a
NBA.
long time.
Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, to right, rightfully deserved.
Yeah. So who else, Ross, have you seen that it's really
I think
jumped out
yeah, I
at you?
think Auburn and Duke are kind of a cut above, which ironically what Chat's saying about Auburn, kind of the opposite applies with Duke and how young they are. But I mean, Cooper Flag's a different type of animal. So Florida's obviously looked very, very good at times. Tennessee, I still don't know if Tennessee's good enough offensively, but defensively they've been very, very good. Alabama's played really well lately.
They're
Um,
flying under the radar. Alabama's flying under the
they,
radar. It's
they, yeah,
amazing.
they are. Another team I like is Texas Tech. I think they've got a
Oh,
lot of
really? Okay.
really nice pieces. And obviously, you go into Houston and you lose your best player and your coach 4 minutes into the game, and you still end up winning. It's impressive. They did that a week ago. Then they lost it, but they lost at Arizona, which is a team that's really flying under the radar too, because they didn't have a very good non-conference, and now they're
Yeah,
they're they're kind of crushing it.
they
So
just don't lose at home. That's
yeah,
their deal. Speaking of Texas Tech, what do you guys think about Texas? Austin, this is your wheelhouse.
I mean, it is a little bit, man, but they're just been a little shaky, right? Um, do you have them on the bubble?
They're still in, but hanging by a thread.
I think they're on the bubble, honestly, just kind of
Oh, they're
watching
on the
some of their
bubble, but
games that passed.
they're
But
still
yeah, I
barely
wouldn't
in
have
my
them in.
bracket. Yeah,
Um, I think they're going to finish it out somewhat strong, but
it's
it's
so we
just been
still
too
the times that
inconsistent.
the times I watch Texas, they still see our boy Kaluma. He likes to get that
Oh
rock
yeah,
one on one.
oh yeah.
yeah,
He likes to have a little fun with the ball.
yeah. Um,
What's your thoughts on him, Tim? What you got? What you got for him? You think they get in though? They finish out
Texas,
strong here?
it's so damn tough in the SEC
Yeah,
though. They got to start getting some wins here.
Yeah,
right.
they're 4 and
Here's the
7 in the
deal. Here's
SEC.
where I have them. This is odd. I have them the 11 seed, okay, but they're not in the playing game. They're the one team that's not in the playing game on 11. But there's two SEC teams below them that are in the playing game. So, gee whiz, Georgia and Arkansas are in the playing game. So they're still buffered by two teams. But again, if they go 0-2 this week, then now you're talking. And I'm not sure. Maybe Ross, do you know this? It, we know the Big Ten has three teams that aren't going to get in conference tournament. Is the SEC? I think the SEC is similar.
That's a good question. I don't know if they went
I
to
was
that
going to look that up
same.
today and I didn't.
I don't know if they went to that same sort of model or not. SEC tournament 2025.
I would think schools would or conferences would do that. Otherwise, it's just the tournament would go on forever. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of disappointing though. I mean, like it's just we grew up where every team still had a chance in the conference tournament. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, you got an uphill battle if you're, the worst team in the league, but still, it's just kind of a weird deal anymore where the bottom few teams they don't even get a chance to get in. I don't know how much I like that.
yeah. I okay. So we've got the SEC tournament. Didn't help me buy tickets though.
It looks like they all get in.
Okay, all right. So they would only be so that'd be then yeah. So they'd be the only other all the other conferences will have everybody in unless the ACE or maybe ACC's got what 15.
ACC's got a lot. They might
They might be the one. They
might
might be
apply
the one that
too.
has the bye. I know. I thought there was one other conference that had a bye, but yeah, I just think if you got 16, and you start on Tuesday, you'd have to play Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, ACC is the top 15. I think there's 18 now in the ACC.
Okay, so there are going to be three teams left out of there too. Okay, which just is just as well in the ACC. Okay, they've got enough
Yeah,
bad basketball going on there. They don't need more.
yeah, they got a lot of.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, so
That's fair.
right now would be Miami, North Carolina State, and Boston College. No run for your guy over there at NC State, Russ, this year.
Who's my guy?
What's the coach's name?
Kevin Keats? I didn't
Kevin.
realize he was my guy.
I'm joking with you.
Yeah,
I'm
that's.
joking with
I
you
mean,
because last year I'd bring him up. First thing you'd say is, "Oh, Kevin Keats."
well, I think we were always kind of fascinated because he was kind of on the bubble last year, and then they obviously went on that run. I remember watching that game in the ACC tournament where the dude hit that three, banked in that three to go to overtime, and
Oh
then
my
had they
God,
not
it
had that dude
saved
not
him.
hit that shot, he would have gotten
They're out.
fired. And they
Yeah,
literally won 8 straight games after.
crazy, crazy how
Yeah.
stuff works. Hey, real quick. So I want to talk about a huge event we're going to have a week from Thursday, February 20th. If you were able to attend our event in November, it's going to be very similar. It's going to be at Infusion Brewing Company. Um, we're going to have it. We teamed up once again with RTI Threads. They're going to be there selling their merchandise as they were last time. We've, though, coupled with the women's program as well. So we're going to have a couple of women's players there. Been confirmed today. Isaac Trout will be there for the men. So that'll be awesome.
Nice.
We'll also have coaches from each staff, from the men's and the women's staff. You can do a meet and greet. You can take photos. You can get autographs on merchandise. You can buy some stuff from RTI Threads and get players to sign that. We'll have some item giveaways as well. We'll have a Q&A with the coaches and the players both. And there's no ticket needed to get in, but to get your VIP pass, which will get you in some stuff, RSVP to Blue Jay Banner either by on X/Twitter, so just DM us there, or send an email to bluejaybanner@gmail.com, and we will get you on the list. So it'll
Is it at
start pulling up.
Infusion? It's at Infusion again?
Yep,
Nice.
yep. Austin, you were there. That was a great event, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a good time. Good time. Clark did a
Yeah.
good job as well.
Yeah, we had
Yeah, that
like
was fun.
gosh, I don't know, in the hundreds of people there. I mean, it was a
Yeah, it
packed
was a good time.
house. There's food for sale. They have a in-house pizza place that makes pizza, so everybody was loving that, and obviously get to taste the great Infusion Brewing Company beers, and they had a great special going on that night. So Ross, hope you can make it.
Yeah.
What time? What time again? 7?
It was going to kick off at
You have a time yet?
5:30.
6? Oh,
We'll kick off at 5:30. The players are going to get there somewhere around 6:30 ish and be there for about an hour or two. So be plenty of time for you to
Wait,
interact.
say the date again, Tim.
February 20th. It's a week from Thursday.
Oh, it's a week from Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
I should be able to do that. Yeah.
The men's team is off all week, and the women's team has a home game on Wednesday, and so they don't have to play again until the weekend. So we thought it'd be a perfect time to work the event in. I know Katie over at RTI Threads is really excited about it. She was thrilled last time. It sold so much merchandise. I think they sold out everything they had there. So
nice.
going to be a great time. So make sure you get on board. Like I said, RSVP to Blue Jay Banner on Twitter. Just DM us or send an email to bluejaybanner@gmail.com. We'll let you know that we got the email and get you all set up. So really looking forward to that. Well, final thoughts about tomorrow night, gentlemen. Austin?
Just ready to go, man. I'm almost feeling like I'm about to play. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little bit excited for that one. Late night game. Yeah, I'm just hoping the boys are, energized, and not getting stale of it. I think I saw Max say something about not getting bored with the process, right? So just hoping that they come out with a little energy. Generally, you should playing at home, playing UConn, but I just don't want a slow start. And I feel like we could kind of put ourselves in a hole if we get off to a slow start, especially against these guys.
It's tough too because it seems like we don't have any time to like build up. I mean, we got done with a huge Marquette win and boom, here we come. UConn's right in our face.
Well, yeah, to all those points, like what Chad's saying about like not, coming out like, stale, and because UConn, we set this up, at the beginning of the show, like UConn's backs are against the wall here. Like they're not gonna, like they're gonna look to pop us early. So you gotta be ready to play. It's a quick turnaround from a huge home win. It's gonna be a pretty rocking crowd, but I mean, this is like now all of a sudden we've got a chance to to win the league. So you got to come out ready to play, and
Hurley's gonna be fired up, baby.
Yeah. He's on T-watch early.
Yeah,
we got those portable tunnels all wheeled out already. We're ready for him.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's a stripe out. Oh, I love those stripe outs.
Okay.
You got to go Creighton to figure out what you're supposed to wear. I love it when they tell us what we're supposed to wear. But it's gonna be crazy 8:00 tip. And plus, on top of all of that, it's dollar beer night. Oh man.
Nice.
It's gonna be crazy.
Fun night to be 21.
Yeah. It's a fun night to be any age. That's gonna be 21 and
you can skip class tomorrow morning. That'd be fun.
Right.
I mean, it's seldom I say that. Usually it's like, oh, we better have a better atmosphere than last week. We just have the same atmosphere as we had Saturday. I'm good, man.
Yeah. Saturday was a great atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think tomorrow night will be just as loud, if not louder, because it is two-time defending champions. And
absolutely,
let's face it, we're in their heads.
Just a little bit.
No doubt.
Just a little bit.
So, all right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. This was fun. By the way, the game's on. If you're out of town, not going to be here, it's on that CBS Sportsnet. You think it would be on FS1, but they got the dog. I was correct, Austin. They have the dog show on.
Yep. Yep.
So it's on CBS Sportsnet, which is okay with me because I love their halftime and post-game shows. I love them. They're the best. So we'll see everybody there tomorrow night. Can't wait. Thanks, guys. And then tomorrow night, right after the game, Austin and I will be live at Let It Fly doing the post-game show. Our guest is going to be the same guy we mentioned earlier. Isaac Trout's going to be with us. So excited about that. All right, guys. Have fun, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Have a good one.